This radio show curates Japanese anime culture and economy. TORO Animation Research.
From essential recommendations to obscure trivia, this is Ryota Fujitsu's Anime Lab.
SBS Radio TORO Animation Research Institute. In this segment, our chief researcher Ryota Fujitsu will introduce historically significant anime at random and share anime-related topics in a column-style format. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, I'm Ryota Fujitsu, an anime critic. Today, I'd like to talk about the relationship between social media and terrestrial broadcasting.
The relationship between social media and terrestrial anime broadcasts.
So basically, when it comes to spring anime, Mobile Suit Gundam Jiku X really went viral, you know?
Enough that they do a whole feature on us separately.
Right, well, one thing is that it aired at a relatively early time. Even though it was a late-night anime, it was on at a relatively early hour on terrestrial TV, which led to this phenomenon where people were posting about it on social media every episode. But I've been wondering how long this is going to last.
Wait a minute. The TV station is our company's radio and television management division.
It's fine, you know, it's a licensed business, so it'll be fine. They won't let it go under. There are all kinds of forces at work, but setting that aside, I mean, to put it simply, and this is obvious, but you don't really hear much about young people watching terrestrial TV these days, do you?
Hey, come on, cut it out. You're putting me in a really awkward position here.
Oki-san, you're watching too, right? People in their 20s are watching.
Yeah, you too, big brother. I'm working at SBS Radio right now, and of course the TV station too. Same channel 6. Hey!
His mouth looks kind of weird now.
Yeah.
That's not good at all.
Well, you know, this was just before 2020, but there was this National Time Use Survey, a nationwide study on how people spend their time. 5 years ago, people in their 30s were pretty much split down the middle. The percentage of people who definitely use television versus those who definitely use the internet was roughly even. But clearly, for anyone younger than that, the percentage of people using the internet is actually higher. On the other hand, people who were 30 at the time, so now they're around 35 to 45. This 10-year span has become a real watershed. Above that age group, there are still quite a lot of people watching TV. Below it, the number of TV viewers has dropped significantly. That's where we stand today. I was talking to someone the other day who covers TV media and the internet, and they told me that the number of people watching YouTube on their TV monitors at home is approaching the viewership of Nippon TV.
I see.
So of course now YouTube is being watched and viewed for other things too. According to this person, when they do free streaming of movies at certain times, you know, back in the day when they were doing a sequel, they'd show the previous film on TV in movie theaters. It's like those programs we have today, like TV's Friday Roadshow. That's the same kind of role that YouTube's free streaming is playing now. In other words, if we think about it in terms of today's TV monitors, it's coming in as a kind of television. That's how the streaming is coming in. And when you think about it that way, anime fans often say that you really need to get it on terrestrial TV and make it buzz properly on the internet.
So it's about having multiple people watch the same work simultaneously, you know?
I think that still has meaning in the current situation, but people watching online are basically viewing at their own pace. And when you consider that today's young people in their teens and 20s are centered around those habits, and not many people a bit older have recording devices. Even if they have TVs, I think many other type who use recording devices. So when you think about anime fans, I believe that broadcasting on terrestrial TV is gradually no longer the strongest option. In reality, so why does broadcasting on terrestrial TV create such a buzz in the current situation? Well, I calculated this a few years ago based on a 2020 survey, and there are roughly 17 million people in their teens and 20s using the internet.
About 17 million people.
Internet usage rates among people in their 40s and 50s as well. While internet usage rates are lower than younger people, there are so many people in their 40s and 50s that when you convert it to actual numbers, there are about 18 million of them. You know, it's close to that. So actually, well, I hesitate to call them elderly, but middle-aged and older, middle-aged to senior users have a low percentage of internet usage, but the actual numbers are actually quite large.
Simply has great volume.
While there's substantial volume, there are about 26 million TV viewers in their 40s and 50s, This demographic is incredibly thick, so basically people in their 40s, 50s and 30s, so the zone above today's 35 to 45-year-olds, they completely watch terrestrial TV, but also do the internet thing, right? And there are about as many internet users there as among teenagers, about the same as teens and people in their 20s. So it should be buzzing, When you think about it that way, well, those young people now, so people who were called 20-somethings 5 years ago, that's right, people up to around their mid-30s do the internet but don't really follow terrestrial TV all that seriously. So when that happens, at some point, even if you air something on terrestrial TV, it's not really gonna buzz much anymore, just thinking about the numbers alone. And when that happens, how do anime get people to know they exist? That becomes a pretty big problem.
I see.
So from the perspective of promoting anime, that becomes a major issue. In Japan, terrestrial broadcasting has the strongest reach as a medium, so when you air something there, the chances of people catching it somewhere definitely go up. That's absolutely true, but
This definitely doesn't look like it's going to be surpassed.
the big challenge is how to reach that point. And on the other hand, for TV stations, as this trend continues, there's the issue of traditional ratings. TV stations are basically like landlords who own property. They make money by selling airtime that's divided up by frequency and time slots, and the price of that land is determined by ratings. That's been their business model. So when ratings start declining steadily, it creates a fundamental business problem. How TV stations will try to survive and how anime will be promoted from here. The next 10 years are pretty unclear. That's my prediction anyway. In reality, TV stations are saying, let's focus on what we're closest to, content creation. A while back, Fuji TV had Kenji Shimizu, someone from the anime side, become president, and he said they'd put more effort into anime. Some weekly magazines wrote gossip about how the variety show staff were complaining about this and such. But why anime, you ask? Unlike variety shows, the business model of creating video content without being tied to TV stations and then selling it to various outlets for profit, this was established earliest in Japan, excluding the film industry as a result of various historical factors. So it makes sense that TV stations would want to commit to anime as one pillar, not something that covers everything, but as one axis they'd want to establish. When you look at those numbers and examine how much people are engaging with both online and TV content, my prediction is that the whole air it on terrestrial TV and it'll buzz on social media thing will probably become pretty questionable over the next 5 years or so.
I see. Radio name Trasu-san posted on X that a platform is needed to watch content at the fastest speed possible to avoid spoilers, as posted. And currently that's definitely still TV, but honestly I've been hit by spoilers for this Mobile Suit Gundam GQ-X so many times myself. Spoilers.
TV listings in newspapers used to be like release schedules, right? I mean, they were basically a chart showing here's where you can catch the latest episode at the earliest possible time. But then streaming came along, and before that, recording technology, especially when hard disk recorders appeared and time-shifted viewing became the norm, that's when newspaper TV listings started to lose their original meaning. So in the midst of all these changes, what's going to happen next? Well, there's no clear answer to that, but...
Well, yeah, that's right.
There's no definitive answer, but when you think about what might happen, it comes down to changes in the number of people and contact time. I thought it's actually quite important to keep that in mind.
Television and radio too. We've got to think about ways to survive. We've already entered that era. Actually, we entered it a long time ago, and here we are, doing anime and whatnot.
We're going at it with the momentum to invade anime, It's fine to invade SBS too.
Really?
I've actually quit this company before,
Even though Fujitsu-san was at the Shizuoka Shimbun, he's already, well anyway, it looks like he's coming back. Also, our listener Gomiri-san posted on X saying, sometimes there are region-specific commercials that air on terrestrial TV, and there are scenes that can't be streamed due to rights issues. So I try to watch on terrestrial broadcast as much as possible.
For college students these days, those living with their parents have TVs at home, but people living on their own don't have televisions, they say. So that's the thing, we need to think about it calmly because I think it's actually pretty important data for thinking about the future.
People who don't have a TV but do have a monitor.
The current situation is that apparently many people buy a TV when they get married or have children.
I think that's probably, what it comes down to. The content they're putting out, including NHK and others, well, there's still a lot of demand for that kind of thing, you know.
Even when you let your kids watch YouTube and stuff, it's more reassuring if you can tell what they're watching from a distance, you know. That seems to be another reason for it.
That really makes you think.
I've been wondering what's going to happen myself, and that's why I keep thinking about all this stuff.
Thank you very much, Fujitsu-san. How did you enjoy this episode of SBS Radio's TORO Animation Institute? TORO Ani is broadcast live every Monday at 7 p.m. on Japan's SBS Radio. Please be sure to tune in. This has been Ryota Aoki, host of SBS Radio's TORO Animation Institute.